Hello, I'm back for more. This August 17th, 2025 happens to be the 19th birthday of my little daughter, who bought me this shirt for Christmas. Anyway, I needed to share something with you. These horns have been floating around here and there, and a lot of people are turning their nose up at them, and you really shouldn't if you're a jazz tenor player and you're either in high school or you're going to college or you're a hobbyist and you're just looking for an inexpensive, great lead trombone, and your dream was to get a King 2B Silversonic, but you just can't afford it. Well, this isn't that, and it's not an affordable Silversonic, but what it is an H.N. White Cleveland Superior. So let me show you what I got. Okay, so you might have seen this with these counterweights. Okay, so the Cleveland Superior is mistakenly labeled by some people in the public as a student trombone, which it is not. If you go look around at some of the old catalogs and ads, the Cleveland Superior was at times stated as the companion to the King Liberty 2B, but in a more friendlier budget range. So you're thinking, well, how is that? Well, I'll tell you what, just briefly, as I understand it, Cleveland was its own company, and they were producing really great instruments. See, there it is, Cleveland Superior. You've probably seen this before. And they got a little over their head in terms of production, so they asked H.N. White to make horns for them so they can, satisfy the demand of their customer orders. Well, it just got to be too much to them, so what happened was that H.N. White ended up just buying the Cleveland company and the Cleveland name. So what they did is because the brand was so popular, they left Cleveland on the brand because people knew what Cleveland was at that time. So they adopted the Cleveland Superior, which was designed and built by H.N. White. So this wasn't a horn designed to be a student horn. It was designed to be Cleveland's premier trombone. Well, as H.N. White progressed, and this was a model 604, believe it or not. As H.N. White progressed, and they made the King Cleveland, which was the 605. And then after King bought the name from H.N. White to just become King, then it became the 606 Tempo. So the Tempo is the grandchild of the Cleveland Superior. Now, it's like, well, didn't King make some student horns way back in the day? Yes, they did. Their student horn started off as the American Standard, and then the name of the trombone under the American Standard sub-brand was the Gladiator. So if you ever see a Gladiator, that was an H.N. White King student trombone, which was, actually, I've got one. I don't have a Gladiator, but I've got the H.N. White American Standard. It's a very lightweight horn. It's great. I'll pull it out at some point in time in my shed and get it prettied up and tested for you, but it's a very lightweight horn. So speaking of which, this Cleveland Superior, the outer slide is 7.9 ounces, which isn't light by any standards, but it's not heavy. But you can see in this one, I didn't do anything to this one. I just recently bought this, so all I did was clean the slide. So it's missing the slug on the slide for the slide lock. But I want you to notice that some of the features it has nickel upper sleeves on the slide. In that day, that was considered, an advanced premium feature on the slide. It's got nickel ferrules down here, but not a nickel crook, though it looks like it. I don't know. I look carefully. I'm pretty sure that's yellow brass. The rest of it's just kind of patinaed right now. And it's also nickel up here. The interesting thing is that this slide receiver actually fits into a King 2B. So if you have an old King 2B, that's the dual bore, or you have an old Bell, it's actually a 491 bore slide. You're like, 491? Well, the King 2B was like a 481, 491 dual bore. But you fast forward into the 1980s, and the Jiggs Wiggum 2BL model is a straight 491 bore slide. So this is basically the same bore as the Jiggs Wiggum 2BL. And it also fits in the 2B Bell. Now, I've tried the newer tempos like the 606. The 606 male connector is too big for this receiver on the 2B, and it's too big for this receiver on the Cleveland Superior, because I've tried pairing other things together. And like I said, I haven't touched this yet. It's still a little, a little bent, and it's still kind of dinged up. But I just wanted you to get an idea. Now, the other feature here I wanted you to notice is that bell taper. Okay, it's probably hard to see with all the garbage in the background here, all my trombones and entertainment. But I want you to notice this bell taper is it makes a gradual expansion all the way down to here where it's kind of throaty. And then it doesn't really flare out until you get almost to the tail end. And what that does is it gives it a really fat tone for that small bore. And then the bell isn't that big. It's just a little over 7 inches. It's not quite 7.5. So as I just measured the bell, it's 7 3/8. It's not quite 7.5. 7 3/8. And then it's got this nice healthy sized beat on it. So let me go ahead and do a little test play on this for you. Okay, here we go. So at the time that they were making these, they all came with a standard mouthpiece, which was the H in white, number 28, Equitrue. It's in the catalogs. But I found this to be one of the better mouthpieces I've ever played. It's not quite as tiny and shallow as a 12C. It's kind of like, for me, it feels like it's bigger than a 12 and deep enough cup to give it a nice warm tone. But here, let me play a couple notes for you. So it plays quite easily. This mouthpiece, everything's standard. It's got a nice big warm tone. I'm telling you, it's a secret. And now that I'm telling you, it's not a secret, but you can pick these up, not much, but you're most likely going to be finding them pretty damaged because they only made these into the, I think the early 1960s or late 1950s, but as early as the 1930s. I saw it in a 1937 catalog, but it didn't have these counterweights on it. So these counterweights are built in, and it's well balanced. I mean, it's little front heavy, but not horribly front heavy. It's still comfortable to hold. Funny, when I got up to that C sharp, this whole horn started to vibrate and ring a C sharp. It's kind of bizarre. I've never had that happen before. Yeah, there's the resonant ring. Came right out of it. So it likes C sharp. What was that? E flat. And it slots nice up there too. It's kind of crazy. It's crazy how good this horn is. The whole horn is 2 pounds and I think 13 or 14 ounces. So it's not even a 3-pound horn. American makers were making their student horns at the same level and quality that they were making their pro horns. So the only thing that made them economical was just fewer and less expensive materials, but oftentimes still the same design, same build, a lot of the same things. So, and you'll find that too with a lot of models, like the Olds Ambassadors, basically the Olds Studio, except all brass. The Bach Mercedes, the early Bach Mercedes, or the Bach Minerva, I believe, it was basically the Bach 6, except mostly all brass. So a lot of horns were that way. The other thing I wanted to show you is, it's kind of funny, because the cases that these came in, here, take a look at this. Cases they came in were actually quite nice cases, but the outsides looked like they had, like contact wood grain paper on them. I mean, that was the covering. I've got 3 or 4 cases like this where it's got that, this one's kind of peeling, but it's cloth. It's not contact paper, but it just reminds me of the wood paneling sticker paper of the 1970s. But yeah, I mean, that's what you're going to find. And a lot of them will have a seal on it that'll say Cleveland. Just wanted to give you a heads up. The H in White, Cleveland Superior, designed and built by H in White, craftsman. It's a great horn. All right, signing off. Talk to you soon.